What's up, everyone? Welcome to the RRBG podcast. Today I'm being joined by a special guest, a very, very funny comedian. You may have seen him opening up for Dave Chappelle. His name is Chris Riggins. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing? What's going on?
Chilling, man. It is his name, right? I'm sorry. I assumed.
yeah.
Oh my God, I'm getting full on the LA bullshit, man. Like, it started raining today, and I was like, man, I'm
Yes.
so glad we didn't meet up in person. I'm not going out in the rain.
I literally said that. I said that to my partner. We went to go get some food this morning, and I was like, "Oh, I'm glad I decided to do this podcast on Zoom because driving across LA right now is probably hell. Whoever's out there, God bless you. May the force be with you.
May
All
the
that.
force be with you. Yeah, I'm from Miami, so I mean I'm used to the rain, but after a few years of living here, it's been 7 or 8 years now. Now I'm fully on the I can't go out there.
Yeah,
It's too
yeah.
much.
Well, also you guys get that tropical rain, so
Oh
for
yeah,
you,
big
it's
water drops.
big. Yeah, and then it's like it rains for like 20 minutes, and then it's humid as hell
Yeah,
after that for the next 3 days. So I prefer that rain than cold rain.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you can actually go out and like shower in it. Here, it's like little tiny cold rain, like you said, or sometimes even hail. Like hell no.
Yeah, well, that's Bay Area where I'm from. It's in the Bay Area we get that very cold, icy rain.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's not pretty.
You're close to because you're close to the Pacific Northwest. All the weirdo white stuff over there, and I mean
Yeah,
I'm talking about
yeah,
the snow, not the people.
yeah. Well, I think also what happens is because we get the Bay Area gets most of its weather from the Arctic,
Oh,
from like Alaska and all that shit. So that plays a big part into it.
yeah. I mean, how much adjusting did you have to do when you moved to LA? Like, was it a big deal for you or not
Nah,
really?
nah, it was because being born in California, you just always come to LA, so you're already prepared for it. But the global warming has been the adjustment.
It's a hoax. Get out of here. By the way, this is a whole like conspiracy theory podcast. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, good, I got a few of my own.
I want to hear them. I'm not into. I'm not. I don't like. I don't like follow them religiously like a lot of these people do on their podcasts. But I'll listen to them. I think they're entertaining for sure.
Yep.
There's some people. Sam Tripoli? Did he cancel the tinfoil hat, or is that still going?
Last time I talked to Sam, he had some very interesting conspiracy theories for me. He had some very good theories. The thing about Sam that I love is like sometimes they sound so crazy that they might actually be real, and then like you're like, and then he delivers them in such a convincing way. You're like, he's got glasses.
He seems smart.
He might know more about this than I do, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I don't. At the end of the day, I don't really be caring. I be like, I got my own life to worry about, so maybe
yeah,
the Illuminati does exist. I feel like if the Illuminati exists, they've done terrible at keeping themselves a secret
yeah. Everybody
because,
knows. Everybody knows.
right? Like, how do broke people know? Like, if it's this secret millionaire cabal, why do people that make less than $50,000 a year know about this? That just seems weird.
It's weird, man. But people, it's just people are weird. I have this tattoo, the Harry Potter bullshit,
Oh wow.
the Deathly Hollows. It's a long story. I don't want to. It's not because I'm a big Harry Potter nerd. I like Harry Potter, but it's not. Anyway, people think it's Illuminati, and they come up to me like, "Yo, is that you? Is that you?" I'm like, "If I was, do you think it would be right there so people can see it?"
Right. The Illuminati tattoo is a lot smaller. It's at the nape of the neck. You can only see it. It's actually like the Wakandan tattoo. You gotta turn
Oh
your
yeah.
lips. It's the only way you know.
Oh my God. So tell me a little bit, man. We've met a few times at the store. Obviously I was there for like a year doing that the wrestling podcast and getting to hang out there with you guys, the door guys there, and it's changed my life. I'll just say that much, being around you guys. And but how was it for you? Like, how did you get into the store? How did you become a door guy? Like, how was that opportunity for you?
Just kind of it's one of the things, the right people and you're in the right place at the right time. I had been hanging out. I had made maybe like 2 years ago. I made a pact with myself to basically come to LA and do impactful trips, which was hang out at the places that I wanted to be. So I started hanging out at the store more. Still didn't know much about it, but I realized that I knew a bunch of people that worked there. I knew a bunch of people that used to work there, and all these people, have a lot of love and respect for me as a comedian and as a person. So, I was just there, and then I was able to make build a relationship with one of the bookers, Jen, and just kind of like I started, making an impression on her, and then all these people started introducing me to her that worked there and that were respected comedians. So then, she watched me, and so she thought I was cool. And then one weekend I was down, and I was just like, I think I want to work here because this would be a great way for me to move back to LA if I have a job, and if the job is comedy, basically that's great. So I talked to my man Jeremy Scipio and Stephen Fury, and Stephen actually walked me into the general manager Ryan and was like, "Hey, you should hire this dude. He's one of Chappelle's openers. He won the San Francisco comedy competition. He's a good comedian. He's a good friend." And the process literally was Ryan said, "Okay, tell him meet Richie." I met Richie. Richie remembered me from playing basketball in like 2016, and from
Nice.
being around the store. And obviously, when you're around the store, you want to be around the store with the right people.
Right.
So if you're around the store with the people he likes and he respects, then it's like, okay, this dude must be cool. So Richie was like, "Yeah, I remember him, but you got to get, you got to get the Booker's permission." And the Booker was Jen, the one I'd been talking to for months and letting her know when I was coming down and all that stuff. And so I emailed her literally right away and said, "Hey, they said I got to get your approval to be a door guy here." And she was like, "Oh, 100%, let's go. Come pick up
Nice.
your paperwork tomorrow."
Hell
So
yeah.
we worked out a start date because at the time I still needed to come, I still needed to move from the
Right.
Bay Area down. So it was just became like, it was like one of those things. It was like, you got to just go. That's the thing about this industry. Sometimes it just be like, well, you just got to do it. You just got to go. You got
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, man. And I mean, was it tough for you? I mean, you have family, right? You have kids?
I have two kids.
And was it
They
like a big move for all of them? I mean, are you guys all living
no.
together?
Well,
Okay.
me and their mother are no longer together, and so
Oh,
they
okay.
split their time with us. But then their mother moved to Texas,
Mm,
so they decided to go to Texas with her because down in Texas they each get their own bedroom.
sure.
They got a pool. It's just, and also I feel like, and I love the Bear, but I just don't feel like it's a place for them right now because they wouldn't have any of their parents there. Like I wouldn't be there. The grandparents are there. They have aunties and uncles, but at the same time, it would just be like there's no way for me to get to them, and be there and really take care of them. So they had to go to Texas with their mom. And it's good because the schools are better down there. I mean, I don't know if the schools are better. Let me not say that. The schools are different. It's just the environment they're in is a little bit different. I think it's good for them to be down there. But,
The good part of Texas? I mean, is there a good part of
well,
Texas?
I, the way I sound, the way I see the world, there's a good part and a bad part everywhere.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what
true.
I mean?
That's true.
Like I said, something about the Bay Area. There's still good parts of the Bay Area. Lots of great parts of the Bay Area that I love. It's just very expensive, so unfortunately, I can't afford to really just live there the way I want to live.
More
Um,
expensive than LA? I mean, LA is pretty bad.
no, yeah, the Bay Area is more well because LA is bigger, so you have
Mm,
options. In LA, it's like I always tell people, you just have to weigh the distance you want to drive versus the price you want to pay.
yeah, yeah.
Because like if you want to pay less, you're going to drive more. If you want to pay more, if you want to drive less, you're going to pay more. That's just what it is. Like I work at the Comedy Store, so I have to be centralized to Hollywood, and I live in Highland Park. But if I want it cheaper, I could go deeper in the valley, and there's a lot of people that do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so there is affordable areas still in the Los Angeles area. It's just that you didn't instead of the rent bill, you have the gas bill, and your car has to be taken care of at all times because this is also not one of the cities like when your car goes down, you're gonna get a lot
Mm.
of people that's gonna be like, yeah, I'll drive out to Pacoima to pick you up to drive you into Hollywood to do shows and then
Yeah.
back to Pacoima and no.
Yeah, that sucks. I can imagine. It is about the commute. For me,
Yeah.
that's why I moved up here. I moved by the store because I was going to the store twice a week from Long Beach, and that's a
Ooh,
45-minute drive. And you know how it goes at the store. You're in the back. You're hanging out till 1, 2 in the morning. You know, there's people there. I know you don't smoke, but I was smoking, and like I gotta sober up before I drive 45 minutes at 2 in the morning.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Because also, like, I remember where the comedy store is. You got to get to the freeway. So
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying. You gotta either you gonna go the long way down Sunset to the 405, but then a straight shot, or you can go down to the 10 and get on the 405. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
unfortunately, at like 2 in the morning, the 405 is like an actual freeway. It's like literally, oh, I can drive.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I can actually go a respectable speed to get home quicker.
Yeah, but it's still
Um,
just like you start nodding off if any because it's 2 in the morning. You know, no matter
it's the wear and
how.
tear.
Yeah, you're tired. I moved like I'm in the by the tar pits, and when we moved, it was super cheap because it was the pandemic. They had all those
Mm,
pandemic specials, so we got
right,
this
right.
super dope apartment for like 1,700, and
Whoa.
no roommates. I'm like, what? This is the first.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. Don't say that. There's a lot of motherfuckers gonna get mad. Like, oh, you ain't got no roommates.
Yeah, man. Everybody here has like 17 roommates. It's wild. I don't know how. I mean, that's why I guess why everybody's in therapy too, and like fucking doing comedy. Everybody's going
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, in my mind, I kind of feel like at a certain age, you have to eliminate roommates. You have, like, and I'm not trying to be ageist or anything like that, but I feel like for me at 45, I can't just move into a situation where I have any more than like maybe one roommate, and they
Yeah.
have to be close to the same age and really kind of be on some like, look, we don't have to be friends. Because that's
Right.
another thing I think what happens with roommates is motherfuckers be like, oh, we live together, we have to love and be friends. It's like, no, no, just pay your portion of rent. Don't leave a mess in the kitchen. Wipe up in the bathroom, and we're cool.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
not gonna be a big deal. Like I had the best roommate situation in LA the first time I moved here. A friend of mine who I was seeing had a friend who had a house in Highland Park, actually, right around the corner from where I'm at now. And she had a spare bedroom that was furnished, had a bed and a desk, and you know the basic necessities, big ass closet, lots of light. She only wanted $600 because she just felt safer with somebody in the house
Mm.
as well. But this woman Ann, love Ann, she didn't bother me. She wasn't like we should hang out. We would talk. Of course, we would have conversations. Like I'd be cooking and she'd be in there watching TV, or you know, we would just be in shared spaces. But like she slept with her door open, and her door was right by the door I would come in at night. And I'd be coming at 2, 3 in the morning with chicks and whatever, and she didn't care. She didn't
Oh,
was
that's
not
cool.
bothered. She was chill, you know, and like she was like, you don't have to pay for utilities, you don't need to worry about toilet paper and paper towels. I take care of all that. And it was like the perfect roommate situation because we were nice to each other, but it was no like we didn't feel the need to hang out with you. We had two different schedules, and it was beautiful. But
Yeah.
I couldn't do this situation. Like I know people that got like 20, like 5 or 6 comedian roommates, and I'm like, oh, that have to be annoying.
And living in like bunk situations with other roommate, like other
Ooh,
comedians, like, man, nope. Like I would not. I love comedy, but not to that extent.
right.
You know what I
Like
mean? Like,
if I had to do that with my kids, like if my kids had to live with me and we had to get a studio and we had to get bunk beds, hey, you know what? I wouldn't even be mad at that because my kids don't know to take care of themselves. So I'd hardly be there. I'd
yeah.
be like, I'll pick you up for school in the morning. I'll make sure you guys got food, but I'm not. I'm probably gonna be somewhere else. But at the same time, it's like that's the only roommate situation I'm looking at. And I'm living with someone right now. I'm living with my partner, but it's different than a roommate situation. Like we share the
Sure.
same
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah.
Um, you
Yeah.
know,
That's that. What they call married life. Like I've been with my wife for 12 years, but we've been living together those entire 12 years because I was homeless when we met. So I had
mm,
to move in with her. You know what I mean?
right, right.
Like, hey, I'll see you tomorrow, I guess. And, like eventually she was like, you want to just stay? I'm like, yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be amazing. The backseat of this
uh,
car is so uncomfortable.
it's so,
Now,
yeah.
I did the couch surf for a minute. I slept on a friend of a friend's couch once, and that was cool until those two fell out, which
Yeah.
made it awkward because it was like because at that point in time, me and the other friend had kind of become cool. We was kind of like it was the same thing as with the other roommate. It was very cordial. Like we talked and we realized that we were around the same age, and we realized we kind of had the same thoughts and things. And also, I'm one of those people, like, if I'm staying at your shit, A, I'm cleaning your shit. B, I'm invisible as possible. Like, and like I would literally get up at 8 in the morning, even if I didn't have shit to do at 8 in the morning, and get out just to be out of the way, and then come back maybe about like 7, 8 o'clock
Yeah.
at the earliest, if later, if possible, just because it was like, yeah, I'm not trying to be in your space. This is still your space. My stuff is over here in this little corner in this closet, out the way.
But that's
And
very
other than that,
respectful. Not a lot of people do that. There's a lot
yeah,
of people that get way too comfortable too quickly.
yeah, and that's why you just gotta you gotta have the ground rules beforehand.
Yeah.
That's why also you have to learn to say no. Like, it's like, nah, fam, you can't come crash here. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've had some
you
friends
know,
I've had to turn down with. I blame my dogs. I'm like, look, man, my dog is crazy. He'll eat your bag. Like, I'm sorry, dude.
yeah, can't have. Yeah, I got 3 cats. That's gonna be my excuse. The cats don't really do well with people
Yeah,
staying
straight.
longer
He'll
than an
start clawing
hour.
at your face. You don't want scratches on your
Yeah,
face.
our
No,
our cats have been known to eat people in the middle of the night. So,
man, I'm terrified of cats. I'm allergic, first of all, and
oh
and
no,
and second of all, I saw that movie where they suck your soul out of your mouth. I forget. I
oh
think it was like a Stephen King movie or something like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's all stereotypes.
And I
Cats,
was a little kid, so I like that's burned in my brain.
no, cats. Cats are like the most honest animal out there. Like, I love dogs. Dogs are beautiful animals. Dogs are like that friend that will not let you talk bad about yourself. Dogs
Mm.
like a friend. No, don't you say that. You're an amazing person. You are so dope. I love you. I think you're just the most beautiful, amazing thing ever. Look, look, look. I just love that's dogs, and that's you need that friendship. That's a great. But cats are more like they treat you as if they know who you are. They're
Mm.
like, look, some people, I feel like a lot of times people give cats a bad rep because cats realize that they're not worthy of their attention. You know,
Yeah,
like, the
yeah,
cat is like, yo, cat is very honest. Like, hey, look, I don't really jail with you, fam. I don't really like you.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
but
I've
then but like, for instance, these cats that we have 3 of them. We just brought a rescue cat back from New York.
Oh, nice.
And these cats are very much like, yo, we fuck with y'all. Y'all cool human beings. They like to cuddle. They like to do all the things that people are say cats don't do. Like, the one we found in New York, she actually kind of comes when you call her. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Which is kind of weird for me with cats, because the other two like come to you, but they're like, you better have something over there
Yeah,
for
what
me.
what you got? They
Well,
stand by the hallway like, what's going on over there?
what's in it for me?
Well,
I
I feel like that is accurate. I mean, I like cats. I'm talking. I'm terrified only because of the allergies, to be honest. And I
I
even
used to
tried.
be.
I even tried. I got the hairless ones, the Sphinx cat.
Hmm.
I was like, maybe this, but then I found out that it's the saliva, not the hair.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Well, they were saying my son was saying that they have this food that they're coming out that has like an anti-allergen in
mm,
it that will help people that have allergies to cats be around cats, because the food will block a lot of the allergens in the cat to prevent the saliva. I guess now I know the saliva for creating,
huh.
because I was like that for a while too, but I realized it was certain cats, like long hair cats. My eyes is watering. I can't
Mm,
really fuck with them. But when it comes to just regular cats, like, these ones are cool. I've gotten used to them. But
nice.
like I say, I always tell people, cats are cool. They're just gonna choose violence for 5 minutes a day.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I'm cool, but I'm gonna fuck some shit up.
Going back to the Comedy Store, man, because honestly, like, I have a hard time explaining to people what, like, when you're there, like, it's like an addiction almost. I feel like when I walk in, I like the way it smells, even though it smells like shit, like cleaner
Yeah,
fluid. But it's like it feels like home. You know what I mean? Like, this is my shithole. Like,
yeah,
now, am I wrong when I read this article that your first show was opening for Chappelle? Is that right?
yeah. Yeah, my first
What the
time on
fuck, dude?
stage, I got to open for Dave Chappelle.
What the fuck?
You know,
The pressure
it's
must have been nuts.
it was, but
Yeah.
you know, it was a good pressure. It enabled me, like, it started kind of like showing me that I can do stuff that you know I didn't think I could do. It kind of gave me a different kind of confidence. But yeah, the first show I did with Chappelle. It was kind of like a dare. I kind of got dared to do it by two people who were close to Dave. And he was coming. This was like right after Chappelle's show, so he was kind of doing like kind of secretive shows.
Mm.
And they were like, you know, he's coming to Oakland to do. My friend, one of the friends he was a part owner in a nightclub. He's like, he's doing our club, and you know, we'll have you open for him. Because for a while I've been talking about doing comedy. People say you should do it, da da da. And I was like, all right, whatever. And then it's just like, you know, this opportunity came up and it was like, all right, let's just do it. Let's just see what happens. You know, if it could be the best thing or it could be the worst thing. I don't know.
Right,
Well, I
right,
mean, I
right.
didn't think it could be a worse thing. I just felt like it was either going to be a good story that I did good and I started being a comedian, or it's going to be a good story. Whereas, yeah, I bombed in front of Dave Chappelle once. It was hilarious, guys. I, I ate so much shit. But then it also told me that I'm not a comedian and I should stick to whatever the fuck it is that I was. I don't even know what the fuck I was doing then.
I mean, I imagine a lot of different jobs. I mean, just because that's what I did. I did a lot of
Yes,
all kinds of whatever, just money. I needed to make money, so whatever I can piece together.
I
Uh,
was doing. I was working with a marketing company. That's kind of how I met the two people that ended up putting me on stage was through this company that I was working for called Onk Marketing. And basically they were like, it wasn't necessarily, it was a party promotion company,
okay.
event marketing basically. So they helped start Rock the Bells Festival.
Oh, nice.
They were, you know, we were doing a lot of shows with. That's how I got to know Talib and Mos Def and them. Um, and like all these other rappers through them. I was, you know, doing promotion. I was doing logistics and ground transportation, and then I started hosting shows. And so it was like one of those things where it's like, okay, I built up. I was working with them, so I was probably going to be somewhere in entertainment. Like I'd probably be throwing Martin Luther King Day club parties if I hadn't started.
All right, all right. And now,
I,
how important? I mean, how like immediately after that show did you start just hitting the mics and shit, or how
you know, it was like one of those things where I hit the mics, but it was like I was feeling very like it's one thing like when you start something at the top, right? You start on the
Right.
highest level, and you got to go down into the bowels and the trenches. It's like, ew, why am I down here? And you're just kind of
Yeah.
like, and then so I really didn't take it that serious until I got heckled once. I was like, oh shit, I have no comeback. I have no. And then they were just that person came to me and we just kind of chopped it up, and they were just like, you just got to write more. And so then I started getting into memorizing the jokes I was doing because up to that point I was really kind of like going off these three jokes I wrote, but most of the jokes I had were really kind of just like me freestyling, like trying to riff all the time, trying to do crowd work, and it just got to the point where I had to learn how to actually write jokes in my style, and how to translate the funny person I am into a comedian,
Mm.
per se. So it was like it was a, and then what helped was I started hosting this open mic in Oakland at the same place that I first got up and did the show with Chappelle. So I
Okay.
started hosting an open mic and literally doing that every Tuesday just started building up my skill, you know, my ability to talk and do crowd work and fuck around and write jokes and do jokes and all that shit. So it was really one of those things just like that really played a big part in me being able to get better. Because also with that open mic, hosting that open mic, because the venue we hosted at was like one of the few venues that had like a real stage and lighting, and I
Mm.
had a DJ, and so it was like a show.
It felt like
You
a
know,
show.
even though
It wasn't a cafe, right?
yeah, it was like an actual show.
Yeah.
And then one week, Dave came through and he brought Chris Tucker. And after that, it was just like people just like, oh, that's the open mic to go to because you never know if Dave or anybody's going to pop up. And Dave came through a couple more times, just on just GP. And so it became that kind of vibe. And then everybody started wanting to be there on Tuesday nights. And then we got an audience. We started getting an audience and building that. And it was just like one of those moments like that comes with that is now when other people do shows, they want you on their show because yeah, it's open mic, but I'm also doing the thing where it's like, yeah, I'm putting up certain people at a certain time because I know A, this is a working comedian. They probably got to go do another show. B, this is somebody that's hella funny. And I know if I put them up, they're going to keep the show going. They're going to keep the crowd hyped. Then I could throw up some more newbies and, and I was still new. So it was really a good opportunity to build my chops there. And then being able to go out on the road a little bit with Kirk McHenry, started taking me out and showing me the ropes and got to see how to do comedy outside of the Bay Area and how different it is and all that stuff. So yeah, all that to lead up to getting the job, first of all, winning the San Francisco comedy competition, then
I
getting the
saw that.
job,
Yeah.
getting the job at the comedy store. And then finally, after 13 years of knowing Dave and working with Dave, them giving me the opportunity to go on an arena tour
That's
and
wild,
and
dude.
perform for 15,000 people, and have my daughter see it,
That's
you
amazing.
know. Yeah,
That's
so
amazing. That's a life
yeah.
achievement, and it's one of those things that as you get older, you have to. Do you have something in your house or your place now to commemorate that moment? Because I've been
Well,
doing that more.
I have a bunch of pictures from it. I think I'm gonna have to go get them printed out, get a couple
Yeah,
frames,
man.
and
Yeah, for
hang a
sure.
couple because it's like, yeah, like there's a picture of when Dave is telling people the story of how we met and like some of the early on interactions we had when I was learning to do comedy and he had to roast me for not being that good at it, like that type of thing. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's definitely a life changing event because it also makes every stage look so easy. It's like, I just did 15,000 people, fam. So this little
Yeah.
room of 25 people is going to get the business, you know.
Yeah, it brings your confidence up. It helps with the anxiety, the pre-show anxiety, because I mean, I know people suffer from that. I suffer from that whenever I do a show. I mean, you thankfully, thank you again for playing one of my shows. Like that was
That was
wild,
great.
you know.
That was a great show. I got to perform in front of somebody that I really respect at the comedy store, Earl Skakel.
Oh, Mr.
And
Skakel.
yeah, Earl is a fucking. I love watching Earl work. Like because they have the final the last set of the night at the comedy store. It's called the Brody set,
Yeah.
in honor of Brody Stevens. But it's like I see a lot of there's several comedians that do that set, and you have to be a special kind of talent to do that set. And the one thing I love about watching Earl do that set is he doesn't take it as, oh, this is just on the last set. He literally makes it a headlining set, and when like I've seen him do it where it's like, yeah, the crowd was tired and he just plugged away at them to the point where they were like, yes, keep going, Earl Skakel. And to his writing and just to hear him work was just amazing. So after your show, he came up to me. He said that was just masterful, and he gave me like one of the biggest compliments I've had in Hollywood. And I was like, oh shit, all right, I might be good at this, you know. But also, I feel like I'm definitely a long set guy. Like I
Wow.
like short sets are fine, but I definitely one of those people that like I when I get a chance to stretch out, I really feel I'm probably one of the best comedians I've seen in my life. Not
Yeah,
gonna say my life,
man.
but
You're definitely up there, man. That's why I called you to do the show, and I wanted to talk to you more because it's. I got to see you perform up there, and I don't even know how many times now, and I see the work, and it's like a school in there, man. I just if you're in for that, if you're trying to learn, if you're trying
mm,
to figure out that business, being there, you learn a lot of shit. You hear a lot of the hallway arguments and
yeah,
the bullshit, people getting bumped and politics and all this shit. You
yeah,
learn the crazy side of the business, but you also learn a lot of what to do, what not to do, how to get a crowd back. Like you said with Earl. Like I remember one night I was in there and Earl started fucking doing a song. He just started singing a song, getting the whole crowd to clap. I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
right. Right. And like I love when Earl does the wrestling jokes. Like
Oh yeah,
I've seen a lot of comedians who jokes about their interests and things they're into, but the way he does wrestling jokes is like he doesn't, and no offense to anybody, it doesn't sound as nerdy. Like, cause
yeah.
I know a lot of people that are into wrestling, and sometimes they just sound like fucking geeks. I'm like, how do you guys make the toughest thing on earth sound so geeky when you talk about it? But Earl made it like it's like because Earl also is an old school wrestling fan. Like I remember when I was into wrestling when it was the WWE, I mean WWF,
Right. Yeah.
and there was AWA and NWA and let's remember Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes and them. You know what I mean? Like I remember that wrestling, but then after I got some pussy, I decided wrestling just wasn't dope as it was at
Uh,
one time.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I still appreciated the art form, but then I was like,
Yeah.
why this is
I mean,
good
I had
guy.
to say, I'm a wrestling guy. I mean, I had the show with Earl for a year at the store, Comedy Store Wrestling. I'm a
Right.
wrestling guy, but I did do the same thing. I watched wrestling up until I started fucking consistently, and then
Yeah.
and
It's
then
like
and then I went and did that for 20 years or whatever. And
then you
now that I'm married and I don't have to go chasing pussy,
you
I'm
go
like,
back to
let's go
you
watch
can
some
watch wrestling
wrestling.
again. You know, I feel like I feel like okay, so from a kid till you start getting pussy, wrestling is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like after the age where you should be fucking as a man, if you're watching wrestling from those ages till you get married, you're probably gay. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that is that you might just really be into watching dudes
In their
in
underwear.
spandex
Yeah.
roll around with each other, toss each other in the air, land on each other, and
Oh.
that's fine. But maybe you just need a boyfriend at that point. But like you did it the right way. You
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
wrestling, you win, you realize the joys of vagina, and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna roll with this for a minute, see where this takes me. And look, now you're in a beautiful marriage of 12 years,
Yeah.
and you're getting vag on the reg,
Yes,
and
sir.
now it's like, what's these niggas up to? Let me see. Oh wow, they still over here wrestling.
They're
They
still
still
they're
over here.
still in their underwear and high boots.
Yeah, as my mama called it, they over here wrestling. They over here
Wrestling.
they wrestling.
No, it was what got me back in. Somebody took me to a show here in LA, like a local one, a small one, and
Mhm.
I'm a big music guy, and it gave me that small independent band vibe. Like
Word.
the
I
crowd's
actually do.
packed, and
I want to go to a local one. I actually do want to go to a local one because I feel like what it is one of those things like that. I feel like I love like it's almost like I do love the big overproduced concerts.
yeah,
Those are
yeah,
great, but it does feel good to go to a little small venue and watch a really good independent band that hasn't been discovered yet play. And I think I would like to go see some wrestling on that level because I feel like once they changed the name to WWE, I was like, oh, y'all some bitches. Like
you gave up to the
y'all
World Wildlife Foundation.
don't nobody know, nobody care about the World Wildlife Foundation. So change their name.
The
Make them change their
panda,
name.
the pandas.
Why can't they be the pandas? Yeah, why can't they pick something that's a little bit less WWF? Like that was the World Wrestling Federation, bitch.
Yeah,
Why are we doing this entertainment? That's when you realize, okay, they ain't even trying to act like it's real now. Now it's
yeah.
entertainment because I was stressed, man. It wasn't entertainment. That was stressful watching Andre the Giant slam Hulk Hogan around all them for that long. And I'm like, nigga, get up. They'll never know.
Yeah.
Never know that stress of wondering is junkyard dog gonna come out of this victorious. Oh, I guess Roddy Piper finally they don't know that stress. And
Yeah.
then you call it entertainment, and you tell me I was stressed for nothing. I was stressed for nothing. I was out here really hoping these niggas don't die. And then to find out also Hulk Hogan likes to say nigger. Like, I don't know. WWE fucked it up.
There was I heard the other day something where it's like even worse. Like it's not just that he said the N word, but it was like something else. Like he just didn't even want to be around certain neighborhoods or something. I don't even remember I don't want to
Blame him.
misquote his racism, but it was worse than like it just felt more deep. Like it wasn't just a
Yeah.
superficial N word. It was. Ugh.
Well, it was crazy. When I did the shows in Florida with Chappelle, Miss Hulk Hogan was there.
Mm.
And it was weird to see him in person. I was just like, if this was like 20 years ago, I'd have probably been like, Hulk Hogan,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But now I know what I know. I was like, nigga, I don't want to shake your hand. I don't even care, man. I don't want to meet you, Hogan. You an entertainer.
That's what
Like,
they say.
like
Don't meet your heroes, right? That's what they say.
right? I meet Junkyard Dog, but I think he passed away. So that,
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you this because I asked this to a few people and I never get a straight answer.
mhm.
I'm Cuban, so half my blood is European whites, and the other half is slaves that were taken to Cuba
Pretty much.
to be, raped, and then somehow my family came out of that.
Well, also don't forget there were indigenous
There was also,
people
yeah,
in
yeah,
Cuba that were
yep,
all there. So we're talking all these things amalgamated.
yeah.
Yes.
Am I allowed to say the N word?
Not technically. No, no.
I used to in
Unfortunately,
Miami.
no.
In Miami, there was a lot of it,
Yeah.
but
Well,
everybody in
here's the
Miami
thing.
says it. You know what I mean?
I think we're at a point in the culture where that is a. I feel like in my personal opinion, I know a lot of black people might get mad. I feel like different communities have associated with this word through the behavior that is associated with the word, also through the treatment of the people that were labeled with the word. Because there is the definite distinction between nigger and nigga, and I mean they are the same word, but intrinsically, it's not about necessarily the word spelling; it's just about the impact that the word has.
Yeah.
Going either way, depending on your intent of how you're saying the word, the way you relate to the word. Like for instance, I had a Chinese homie who grew up in Richmond, California, and his parents moved from China, and they had a dry cleaner, and they moved to an all black neighborhood, and he
Okay.
literally grew up with all black kids and Latino kids. So in that vein, they called him nigga, and so around them, they didn't mind when he said nigga because they knew him. They knew his intention. They knew he was one of them. They knew that when they got pulled over, he was getting fucked with the same way that they were in the streets. And I think for them, they built a comfortability and a familyness with him so they could say it. But the thing he didn't understand is when he's not around those particular black people, you can't necessarily
Yeah, yeah,
say
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah, yeah,
as
yeah.
open and freely because like the one we worked at Trader Joe's and he kept getting into it with the Oakland brothers who were like, yo, we don't know you.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
don't we get you from Richmond, but we don't know you, so don't use that word around us. You know what I mean? And it's like because I always tell people like, I feel like people whose people have been treated like niggas should be able to say it. Um, and that's my personal opinion. I don't think that's something
yeah. Right,
practice,
right, right,
but
right.
like for instance, I think of like in the Bay Area, Filipino people say it,
Hmm.
and some Latinos say it in the Bay Area.
Okay.
And then also I know that Latinos down here say it, but it's a different way they say it because they only say because the music they listen to from black rappers says it. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's the culture they've been raised with. That's just how they talk to each other. But when they say it to us, it's not, yo, my nigga, it's nigger, but
Oh,
they say nigga. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
It's so the dynamics change on the area you're at and the region you're at. I mean, I just prefer people who if you gotta ask, just don't say it.
Yeah, right.
That's my philosophy on it. If you gotta ask a black person, can you say something
Right,
before you
right,
say it?
right.
Then no, just don't say it. There's no reason to say it.
Yeah.
Because speaking only on the Bay Area where I grew up, it was like LA is segregated by race, very much so.
Yeah.
There's black neighborhoods, there's white neighborhoods, there's Latino neighborhoods, Asian. Everybody has their area because like even in the black neighborhood, LA is the first place I've been to where there's a black upper class neighborhood. There's a wealthy black neighborhood where wealthy black people live, and it's like this is weird because in the Bay Area it's the poor's and the riches.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? That's where everybody lives. If you're poor and you're white, Asian, Latino, black, you live in East Oakland, you live in West Oakland, you live in these areas that poor people are designated to live in because they don't give a fuck about your race, it's about your income. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're rich, you live in these other neighborhoods. The issue is there's not that many rich black Latinos in the Bay Area. So then, of course, you go to the rich neighborhoods and it's mostly white and Asian, and I'll say mostly Korean and Chinese, because the Bay Area has a very large Chinese population, so they have enough people to where there's a poor Chinese population, and there's the rich population of
Yeah.
Chinese people. So that's kind of the segregation you get. So when you go to places in the Bay Area, you hear Latinos or Asians or Filipinos say nigga, you have to understand that's just because they were treated like niggas in the sense of financial uh the finances,
The
more or
financial
less than
segregation instead of the race
the financial
segregation.
segregation said, but it puts you in a category where you're looked at like niggas. Because that's the thing, like when you hear poor white people say, well, I don't know anything about white privilege because I grew up poor. In their mind, they're equating being black or a person of color to being poor, because
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
they've
yeah.
been taught. That's the equation they've been taught, and to them, money is privilege. Whereas to us, there's the skin tone and money privilege that you have.
Right,
Um,
right, right, right.
so yeah, I just feel like when we talk about Cubans and Afro Latinos, like you go to New York, Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, they say nigga, but then a lot of them look like niggas too.
Yeah,
So it's like
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
a different kind of vibe. Because like I tell you, on the West Coast, our Dominicans and Puerto Ricans are Filipinos and Cambodians and Southeast Asians. The quote unquote darker Asians are
Yeah.
the Afro Latinos here, and it's vice versa. So I feel like when you go to New York and you see a Dominican dude talking to a black dude talking to a darker Cuban dude, like I feel like if you were a darker Cuban dude, because we already know that there's much colorism on the island of Cuba,
Yeah,
whereas
oh yeah.
me and you could go to Cuba together, and until we open our mouths, they're gonna see me and say, "Oh, he's probably one of the darker Cubans. We can treat him different than we treat you." They'll
Yep.
definitely do that. And then when we open our mouths, like, "Oh, you have American accents. Oh, we're sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, yeah,
when
yeah.
my friends went to Cuba, they said that's exactly what happened. My friends went there and they had dreadlocks and dark skin, and they were being ignored until the waitress heard them talking in English. And they're like, "Oh, you guys are Americans. You got money.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
let's
Oh, for
change this
sure.
service up." And that's where the whole dynamic of it comes in, because like even in Cuba, I'm pretty sure there's a slur for darker Cubans than lighter
Oh yeah,
Cubans.
yeah. I don't know it, but then yeah, I know there's definitely some. I
Yeah,
like my aunts and uncles are darker than I am. The thing is, on my mother's side, my grandfather is part is the European part is also the part that got invaded and pillaged by the Celtics from like the
right.
big red beards and the Vikings and shit. So like there's way more strong like white DNA on that side of the family that got put into me. But there's also the Latinos also do a thing where the same word means a bunch of shit. Like you can say
Mm-hmm.
one word, and for depending on how you're saying it and what emotion you put behind it, that's what that word means at the time, and it's super confusing for me because I grew up
Yeah.
I grew up in New Jersey. My family's Cuban,
Oh
but
wow.
like I know all of the culture, but I grew up in Jersey, so
Right.
it's a different thing for me.
Oh no, it's
Yeah,
completely different. Like
yeah,
Latino is like that's a whole other colonization road we could go down. The fact that all these people speak a different kind of Spanish because they were all colonized with Spanish. You know
mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like if you go to Puerto Rico, their Spanish different than Mexico. You go to Mexico, their Spanish different than uh than South America. Like it blows, like it trips people out when they go to somewhere in Brazil and they teach people who look Latino, but they're actually native indigenous Indians, and it's like they speak Portuguese.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? And Portuguese sounds like somebody drunk learned Spanish and taught it to somebody else, and they just said, like it's
Well,
I,
that's probably what it was. They were all drunk on wine. Everybody out there makes their own wine.
yeah, yeah. And so Cuban Spanish is definitely different. It's like
Yeah.
we also got to remember the people that were colonized still had their own languages before they were forced to speak this other language.
Mm.
So unlike, for instance, with African Americans who had our languages and were completely cut off from them, which forced us into this new language, which we have also kind of taken our own path on. Like, okay, we're speaking the language that this is how we learn to speak the language, so we just pass that down. Whereas Latinos still have those words that were indigenous to whatever land they came from mixed in with the Spanish.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you'll have one word that means five different things depending on what Latino nation, you're in. And now you got the Latinx, and I'm
No,
trying to
thank you.
confuse who those guys are. That's like, I don't like to be called people of color. I hate that shit. I feel like that's just a
Yeah,
slick way of saying colored people. And at the same time, that erases the fact that, no, I'm black, homie. My struggle is rooted in blackness.
yeah, yeah.
There's a history that comes along with being black, and I don't want to be condensed to a person of color. I don't like that. I use person of color for, I think, people that don't really want to claim their color. You know what I mean? Like, claim your true heritage, fam. Like, be who you are. Like, and I feel it's weird because sometimes I catch myself doing this because, like, I meet Asian people and it's clear they're not from here, but they say some colonized. To me, it sounds like a colonized name, but I forget they got to choose it. Like, oh, this is just the
Mm.
name I say because you motherfuckers can't say my real name.
Right,
And
right,
I'm
right.
like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay, but I want to say your real name because I'm very big on names, because the fact that my family carries a name that is from the British Empire, literally, like, when people always talk about, well, slavery's over. Well, I'm like, no, it's not, because you run around here with a bunch of black people still holding slave owner names.
yeah,
We still name fucking Jefferson. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
There's still, what I'm saying, Washington.
yeah. Jenkins, is that one?
Probably.
Yeah, like I have my old bandmates, white dudes, but the last name is Jenkins. But to me, it just sounds like that's just European bullshit.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the only black last name that I know of that might actually be one that was chosen, I think, is Freeman, because I think a lot of us, at the time, slaves, when they were freed into being, citizens, or black people, they chose Freeman instead of the name that was given to them at the plantation they were at, because now they're
Oof.
free men. So,
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
so I
Wow. I didn't
yeah,
piece
I
that. I didn't
mean,
piece that one together. Like shit. All right, that makes
dude,
sense.
these last names are so funny. Like, if people really were just naming it, their last name was literally what they did. You know what I'm saying? Like Schumann. Yeah, my family we did all the shoes. We made everybody's shoes. So they was like, yo, that's Julius Schumann. Well, Julius Schumann, because Julius does the shoe, man. Oh, Julius Schumann. And it just kept going.
Wow. Wow. It's wild, man. I found out some stuff about my family that I wasn't stoked on. Like when I went to Spain with my grandfather, and
Mm-hmm.
he was like, "Oh, we're gonna go to this famous church thing." I'm like, "All right, whatever." I'm not religious, but I do appreciate old architecture and whatever history. And I went, and he's like kneeled in front of this grave and crying. I'm like, "Oh shit! I've never seen my grandfather cry. What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Hey man, what is this? Is this your dad? Like, what's going on?" And he goes, "No, this was the king, Franco or whatever, the king when
Mm.
I was growing up in Spain." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." And I just Googled Nazi sympathizer. Like,
Well,
I'm like, "Oh
mm,
no, fuck!"
Grandpa, you gotta stop crying over these Nazis. You gotta
Yeah,
stop.
please stand up, man.
Yo,
What's happening right now?
that is
Yeah, man.
hilarious.
Yeah, but I mean, look, shit's fucked up, right? The society, everything's fucked up still. But I do feel like we're at least in a better place in that kind of sense. Like there is still racism, even though some people are out there claiming there's no racism. Uh,
Yeah.
there is still racism and all this stuff. But I mean, shit, we're like that. We're like, hey, here's my grandfather crying about Nazis. Like, I don't know. I
Yeah,
feel
but
like we're getting
we
better.
still are.
Well,
We not
there's
honestly,
still
I
some
feel like
Nazis. Yeah.
that's the problem. And I think that's the issue. It's like, okay, I went to Berlin this past summer, home of the Nazis.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
home base. And I went to the Berlin Wall, where the Berlin Wall was, and where, Hitler had his home base of operations, where they was literally murdering people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the way they go about talking about the history is not the same way we go about it here. They go about it in a very, like, honest, open, can, we are truly ashamed of ourselves way. They don't sugarcoat anything. They point out how coward these people were, because when the shit hit the fan, they all killed themselves. They all off themselves. They didn't
Yeah,
stand
yeah,
trial.
yeah.
They didn't stand up. They didn't stand 10 toes on what they believed. Say, yo, we gonna go to court. Well, they
Yeah.
killed themselves. They punked the fuck out after they had murdered and bullied and treated people like shit. They and it was like so much bigger than what we know. And I feel like, what we've learned is only one part of it, the very terrible Holocaust part about it. But we don't know. They were doing this to everybody here. Like, if you did not align with their political thoughts, even if you were German and white, they was gonna throw you in with everybody. And God forbid you be of any descent that wasn't European
Right.
there. That, but the way they go about describing it, it's a very like, they don't like here, you bring up race and people, oh, get over it. You bring up that there, they're like, yeah, we fucked up. We apologize.
Yeah.
We're sorry. We're gonna keep apologizing. They understand that, something that I learned during my recovery time is like, you can apologize to people, but they don't have to forgive you. And you can't get mad at them for that. And that's the thing that is wrong with this country, why we haven't gotten any better. Because I just saw Donald Trump won the Iowa caucus. Like, that's the same as your grandfather crying for that Nazi sympathizer. That's all these people.
I can't believe we got to go through that again. It's going to happen again.
January 6th happened because there was a bunch of people who cried for their king who did not get reelected. They were crying. But instead of just silently saying, all right, we're just going to gather and get together and we're going to organize and we're going to be better prepared next time and we'll get our guy back in. They decided to go the crazy route. And then the fact that they won't put this man in jail enables him, because now they see he's invincible. Like, oh shit, he's not going to jail for this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
And it's like, you got states like Colorado who said, we're not even putting you on the ballot. But then Supreme Court is like, well, you might not be able to do that. And I'm just like, okay, this is just literally why this country will not advance. We are too scared to do the things that need to be done to correct the problems. And one of the problems is that white supremacy is still seen as American. I always say this, racism is so American that when you speak out against it, people call you un-American. And that's just what happens. Like, black people, we're just gaslit constantly by this country. And then the progress we get is lateral. It's never this way. It's lateral. It's like, sure, black people can vote, but we're going to shoot you down in the streets because we can. It's
right.
Sure, we're not walking down the street just calling you niggers, and you can drink from the same water fountains. You can ride anywhere on the bus, but your unemployment rate is still going to be higher because we still discriminate. We still discriminate in house loans. We still kind of redline. We redline differently now. You know what I mean? Instead of saying you can't get a loan for a house here, you have to get a loan for a house here. We just say you can't have a loan. Problem solved. And then when they say, why I can't have a loan? Well, look, apparently you only make so much money because, well, the type of job you're going to get offered less money than the white men and the white women who have their own battle for power, their own struggle, power for struggle, where they're battling each other out to see who's more powerful. And then we all get the brunt of it. It's like, I get it. I don't think necessarily every white person is inherently racist. I think that just white people are inherently unaware of how racism really works and the day-to-day scope. They think it's, if it's not a skinhead with a swastika and jackboots screaming, Heil Hitler and death to niggers, they don't think it's racist. They think, no, we're so much further than what we are. That's the gaslight. We're so much further than where we were. It's not like it used to be. Well, here, I could beat your ass every day and one day decide, you know what, I'm going to stop using the bat. I'm just going to use my fist. It's not as bad as it was. I was beating you with a Louisville Slugger every day. But now I just use my bare hands.
Yeah.
So it's better, right? Or as Malcolm X said, I pulled that knife that I stuck in 9 inches, I pulled it out 3 inches. There you go. That's better, right?
That's true.
That's better.
That's true. It's a good way to look at it. It's an interesting way to look at it. I've not thought about it that way because in my mind, I'm trying to be positive. Shit's already so dark that, I try to like, hey man, things aren't that bad, but But yeah,
Get it?
that's how they get away with it.
Well, that's how that's why black people are the most talented people on earth, because we've turned all of that into art.
Yeah.
That's why rap music sells. That's why we've been able to entertain America for so long, because instead of burning this bitch down, because we don't have the numbers clearly, instead of burning this motherfucker down, we decide to take that frustration and put it into something that is helping us stay positive, helping us say, okay, yeah, it's bad, but okay, I'm alive. Let's see what we can create. That's why it is so important that black people have spaces where only we are and we can be, and just kind of just, even if we're not getting along, like even if we have a cat going off on everybody, even if it's not the
Yeah.
picture perfect, we need our space, because it is only so much we can do as humans in this short span of life that we will be here.
Yeah.
I would love to spend every waking moment fighting for liberation from an oppressive white supremacist state and hierarchy, so that my grandkids won't have to do it. But the you say things are better, but I'm fighting the same issues my grandfather had to fight.
Yeah.
It's just differently. It's just presented differently. It's just, now I can walk and sit at the restaurant, sit at the table. I can go, cool. I can ride the bus and sit in the front if I choose. Like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
these are things we should celebrate. We should take every little victory we've had and celebrate it, but we'd also keep in mind that there's so much more to do, and it doesn't help. It doesn't really work if only one side is doing it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's the problem. And the same thing with the politics. I'm not really. I look at politics and I look at the greater good, and I look at the intrinsic moral question of right and wrong. And when I look at both parties or whoever's political, I see that there is intrinsically wrong in both sides, but the moral right and wrong is different. You
Mm.
know, whereas Democrats aren't necessarily perfect, but at least they're not trying to actively destroy other people to get their side heard.
Right.
You know, it's like I grew up in a political world where it was really a matter of, Republicans were fiscally conservative. They were more concerned about big government and budgets, and yes, they were racist, but politically it wasn't like, hey, outward fuck you people. It was more, look, we just gonna toe our line, And then the other side was, definitely more soft gloved and trying to be more like, hey, we're your friends, when it's like, you don't gotta pander to us. You can literally just present us the facts and allow us to choose for which one we want to choose from. Don't pander to us. And that's why we get to where we are today, with both sides being just unsufferable.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't get into. I used to be politically like interested, at least. Like I would read about it, and I would tell my friends about, like, hey, you guys should consider this and that. Like now, this last 4, 5, 6 years, whatever, I'm just completely unplugged from it, because I just feel like there's no control. Like my vote, like every vote counts. I don't feel that way. I don't
It
I don't
does.
I don't
I know,
feel
and
that
it's
way.
meant to be that way. But actually, every vote does count. But here's where we have to start. Like, and I, this is something that I think is said. People always ignore it as just a slogan, but it's like, think globally, vote locally.
Mm,
Your local votes stand way more weight than a national vote. You know what I mean? Because you can choose the politicians who will align with the presidents that will come in. Your local politicians have to work with your state politicians, so that your state politicians go to the national politicians and say, hey, this is what my state needs. This is what my state wants. This is what my state can offer, and it represent you for real. That's one thing I can say California has done my whole life, is literally make sure that the people that are in the Senate and Congress are represented by the people who are in the state Senate and Congress, who are represented by the local elections that we make. I'm more concerned about who the superintendent is in the school district my kids will go to school,
mm,
because they could be in there saying we're banning books that are important to kids to hear. I need to know who's going to be the police chief or the sheriff or the DA. Because these are the people that are going to possibly be prosecuting or corrupting the crime around us. Like, we need to know these things, and we're so caught up on you know Trump and Biden, who, yeah, in a sense, they're not the same. I don't think they're the same because Trump is clearly an idiot, and Biden is not much brighter, but at least he acts presidential.
I
You
think
know,
Biden is just he's older. Like he's
well, he's a
deteriorated more. You
politician.
know what I mean?
He's a real politician. Like
Yeah.
I believe most politicians got into politics with the mindset of I'm going to help my people. I'm going to help my community. I want to change the world. I want to, I think some of them got into it because they wanted some power. Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
There's a power element, and Trump is the one that said, "I want power. I
Yeah.
don't give a fuck about you people. I just want to be in control. I just want to be the top dog." Whereas Biden, even George W. Bush, they were more like, I'm trying to do the best for the people that voted for me. And in that process, I will do for others. Like, you know, Obama was the one that said, "Hey, I'm everybody's president. Even if you don't like me, fam, I'm still gonna try to be your president." I'm not like a super Obama stan, but I respect that stance as a president. Like, I'm not gonna make everybody happy, but I'm gonna try.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as you're trying, that's what matters. I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I saw with Trump. Like people are like, well, why don't you like him? I'm like, well, aside from all of the obvious things, I mean, the guy is not. He's a TV star. He's not really trying
He
to
doesn't
do
even care.
anything.
He
He
doesn't
wants
even care about the
ratings.
people that love him. He doesn't
Yeah.
even care about the people who are voting for him. He
Yeah.
doesn't care about the people that are in his family. He cares about himself. And I feel like if you're going to be the president, that's the last trait we need. You know what I mean? We need a president who has the ability to laugh at themselves and understand that not everybody's going to like them. And the people that don't like them are not enemies, but they're just people that disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be on a like, hey, if I disagree with you, it only should be on the political level, Mr. President. I shouldn't think you're a terrible person on top of that.
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
not saying all the presidents were great people, but yeah, the worst thing that Bill Clinton did was he got a blowjob. And as I got older, I realized how stupid it was for us to even impeach him for that because it's like, it's no life. If a bitch want to suck his dick in the Oval Office, I'm not saying that honestly, if I walked in the Oval Office, I might be like, damn, I'd suck a motherfucking dick in here. Like, I'm just saying,
It's a
the
fancy room.
power,
It's a
the
fancy,
power to
powerful room.
suck the most powerful man's dick in one of the most powerful rooms on earth. Yeah, I get it, Monica. I'm not knocking you. And you know what? I feel like every president should have a side bitch. I feel like they should hire the office of the side bitch, where yes, this woman's gonna suck the president because the first lady can't be out here sucking dick while she's out there doing charities for kids. We can't have her
She
out
needs to
here
be
trying to keep the
presentable.
yeah, we can't have her out here trying to keep the kids off drugs. She's smoking cock in the next room. No, that's the
Oh.
that's the office of the side bitch that does that. And I feel like that was the dumbest shit ever. But now we actually have an active president who encourages his constituents to hurt other people, to
Hmm.
harm other, to treat other people as if they're different. Like disagreeing is fine, but the way these people are doing it, it's like even when they're wrong, they're saying, "Nope, I'm right. I've lost an election. Nope, I didn't lose." And I want you all to know it was stolen. Because he said that before
Yeah,
the
yeah,
election.
yeah, yeah.
He said, if I don't win this, they stole it, and he put that in their head. And it's like,
Yeah.
who does that? Who does it? You like? I wish Obama had did that. I really wish Obama had met Trump and be like, you know what? Nah, guys, I'm not leaving. I can't leave this office in this man's hands. I refuse to get out of this seat. Nope, y'all gonna have to come out to me. I am asking my people to stand with me on this because if this guy comes in and takes over, it's a wrap for
Yeah.
democracy as we know it. Because really, we're on the verge of all that being a wrap. Because if a politician can lose an election and just turn around and say, "Nope, I didn't lose," don't let them. And people are going to storm government buildings looking to hurt the politicians. Like, what are we doing? These people were trying to kill cops. These people were pro cop. These are the same people who told us maybe if you comply, you won't die. These are the same people that
Yeah.
told us, black all lives matter. And you're rioting. These are the same people that shitted on us, and they go to a government building and literally look to harm people that have done physically nothing to them. And it's just like, how we're not much further than where we were when Dr. King got shot. Because that's the thing that kills me. every Dr. Martin Luther King Day, and I see these people talk about, oh, happy birthday, Dr. King. It's like, y'all motherfuckers killed him.
Yep. Yep.
Y'all
Yep.
didn't even like Dr. King until he was dead. When he was dead, now his I have a dream and non-violent, and they go find all these quotes with that that affirms their beliefs and how we should be. And it's like, like the ones that was killing me during the Black Lives Matter rally, people posting shit, Dr. King would approve of these marches and rallies and riots, and I'm like, actually, Dr. King would very much approve this, because Dr. King said a riot is the voice of the unheard. So keep wanting to paint him as this soft kind of like, but Dr. King wasn't no punk. He wasn't no punk.
They didn't watch that episode,
No.
of the documentary.
To go out there and get your head busted by police just because you want your people to have the ability to exist freely.
Yeah.
Is gangster. That's gangster. He did it. He died with a bullet in his throat because them motherfuckers couldn't do nothing to him but kill him. So it's like, yeah, you want me to believe we're in a better place? No, they don't kill you now with a bullet. They kill your character.
Right.
They assassinate you.
They're more behind the scenes about it.
Yeah, they assassinate your character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They do things to make it seem like you don't deserve the justice. That's why when George Floyd is killed, what we do is they post pictures of him saying he was on drugs. They bring up his criminal record. You know what I mean? They shoot a 12-year-old boy, and they try to make it seem like he was crazy because he had pictures of himself with the middle finger up. Like, it's the same assassination, just different ways.
Yeah.
And they've learned from their mistakes in the past.
Jeez, man. Yeah. It is I'm glad we had this conversation because it does make me see it differently. I honestly, like I said, I try to be positive, but on my dark days, it's when I told you where I feel disconnected from politics, where I don't feel like I have a say or anything. And it's because they're successfully doing what they want to do. They want me to not vote and not be interested and not get out there, They
want you to. And that's what they rely on. They rely on it. That's why it's important when you see something on the ballot that says allowing convicted felons to vote. Very important that you vote yes on that, because somebody might be a convicted felon, but say you were in a gang at 16 and you did a crime at 18 and you served 7 years and you've come out, you're clean, you've got a regular job, you're actually an upstanding citizen now. You can't vote because of that conviction, which means that's one person who might vote against some crazy shit out of the picture. You know what I mean? So it's really one of those things. It's like it seems like it don't count. It seems like it's very hard, but it does count. In a long sense of like, you just have to. It's like comedy. You say, I keep plugging away. Eventually, you're gonna get to where you want to go. Just every stage is a step.
That's true.
And you got to do it.
Hey, if you don't have that, the Office of the Side Chick as a bit, you should.
I did do a joke about that.
Okay.
I think I did a joke about that. The Office of the Side Bitch.
That's good.
That'll be my main campaign. Cheating, I will be the most faithful present to my wife and side bitch.
Don't need to go outside of 2. 2 is enough.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
exactly.
Shit, man. This was great. Thank you so much for taking an hour out of your day. I know,
no problem.
It could be done. You could be writing. You could be doing other things.
I'm about to curl up on the couch and watch Tiger King.
Oh, no. All right. So this is probably not going to come out before you have a show tonight. No? Are you doing a show tonight?
Yeah. Tonight on January 20th, which day it is, I will be at the Hollywood Improv at 8:00. But I don't know who's watching this or whatever, but if you're in the Bay Area in February, I have 3 great shows from the 14th to the 17th. Just hit my Instagram, Chris Riggins Comedy, and I'll let you guys know all the info.
Fuck yeah. Well, dude, thanks again for giving me some life lessons today. Also just hanging out. And I can't wait to hang again at the store at some point. Yes. And I'm going to keep doing these comedy shows. They're doing well. So if you want to ever do one again, another one, let me know. I'll put you on.
Let me know. I'm definitely glad to come do it.
Hell yeah. All right, brother. Everybody, please follow Chris. Thanks again, man. We'll talk soon.
All right, no problem. Thank you. See you in a minute. Bye.